Okay, May 2021, Better Homes and Gardens. And this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paper clips. First is the letter to the editor, or editor's letter, I should say. Humans by nature love to interact with each other. We are mostly a sociable species, though sometimes I admittedly need to allow myself space to be a cranky hermit. I've written several editors' letters over the past pandemic year, identifying the difficulties we've all faced. The isolation was probably the top of the list. That's why our 10th annual Style Maker issue, we wanted to celebrate the theme of creative connections. Style Makers, the network of people once known as bloggers and now influencers, are an important part of Better Homes and Garden family and brand. They come from many walks of life, backgrounds. Some specialize in home decor, others in gardening or food. Some focus on parenting issues or wellness and beauty. That's what unites them in creativity. In conjunction with our annual issue, we hold an in-person event this year, a virtual one, where our style makers can connect and network, sharing their newest discoveries and pain points as creators. They're called influencers, a term that often turns some people off. Each of these talents is really at their core an editor. They pick and choose what they want to trust their audiences will enjoy, like we do at Better Homes and Gardens Edition. But they do mostly through the lens of social media and spend less time in the real world and many more hours online. Digital creative connections can be beneficial, and they've certainly gotten many of us through one of the most difficult periods of our lives. I really enjoyed people and things I've discovered online this year, but I hope our post-pandemic world will allow us to modify our digital usage somewhat. At this time writing this, spring is here and hope glides in the air. We're looking forward to being outdoors as much as possible, achieving widespread vaccination and herd immunity, and hopefully returning to some of the things that will give us back a sense of normalcy. I want to see people in the flesh more than on that screen. I hope to be able to focus on doing many more things than taking for granted things. I never knew I could miss so much: dining out with friends, going to a concert, traveling to another country, even walking down a crowded Manhattan sidewalk. Not one of those things I want to spend more time doing involves a phone, a Zoom meeting, or even a computer. Here's to seeing everyone in person. Stephen Orr, the editor-in-chief. Instagram at STEPORR. This is, of course, his Missed Connections. And then it says 10th Anniversary Style Maker. You're invited. Mark your calendar so you can join us for our virtual Style Maker celebration on May 7th. We'll talk organizing solutions with Claire Scheer and Joanne Chaplin from the Home Edit, and mix a tasty frozen drink and cover our stats. Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Julie Tanneris, don't miss their story on page 76. For all the details, have your smartphone camera hover over this code at bhg.com StyleMaker. Okay. They do a beautiful wrap here of flowers, which kind of reminds me of my great-grandma, because she always loved peonies. And over at her house, which ironically enough is now a beauty shop, and I went in there one time to get my hair done, and it felt so creepy that I was like, no, I can't ever go back there. It was just a creepy, weird feeling I got. Okay, page 14. And it wasn't because of my great-grandma, because she was a wonderful woman, but it was just because it was turned into a house that felt unfamiliar, I would say. Okay, let's say ice dyeing is basically what sounds like ice and powder dye melt together on fabric, created marbled effects. This project doesn't require much dye, so you'll have plenty of left to upgrade your cotton pillowcases, napkins, t-shirts, on tea towels. To ice dye, watch and learn with your smartphone. Hover it over the camera here for a code for a video tutorial. It says second act, choose mom's favorite colors so the wrap will work as an accessory after the flowers hit the vase. And it says personalize Mother's Day with this super easy ice dye bouquet wrap. Set it up. Protect your work in an area with a plastic sheet. Set the wire cooling rack over a plastic or a glass basin. Prep the fabric. Pre-wash a plain white cotton bandana while it's wet. Bunch up the fabric and set it on the rack. Cover it completely with a mound of ice. Dust with dye. Sprinkle about with a teaspoon of powdered fabric dye, which is $3 at craft stores, over the ice. Let it sit. All the ice is melted and saturated the fabric with the dye. Set the color. Treat the wet fabric with a dye fixative or wrap in the microwave-safe plastic wrap and heat for 2 minutes. Rinse in cool water until the water runs mostly clear and run the cloth through the wash before wrapping the flowers. Okay. Better Your Guide to a Happy, Healthy Life. May 28th is Don't Fry Day. To raise awareness about sun safety and to encourage everyone to take steps and protect against their skin cancer, don't forget your eyes. 5 to 10% of skin cancer cases occur on the eyelids, and repeated unprotected UV rays exposures can lead to cataracts. Safeguard your eyes with sunglasses that block the UVA and the UVB rays, and a hat with a brim at least 3 inches wide. More smart protective moves on page 110. Okay, one great reason to pour a cup of Java. A review of studies found that men who drink 2 to 9 cups daily are 9% less likely to develop prostate cancer. Each cup of coffee was associated with 1% drop in prostate cancer risk. The researchers say that coffee's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects may protect against the disease. 42% of Americans don't disinfect surfaces properly. First, pre-clean the soap and water, then use the disinfecting spray on the wipe. Let air clean, and then when drying or cleaning a food prep surface or toy, rinse the water and let dry using the disinfecting product. 2 hours or less. That's the maximum time per day that you should spend on social media to safeguard your happiness. In a study of nearly 1,000 young adults, 3.5 to 5 hours a day on social media doubled the risk of depression. 5 or more tripled it. Track and limit your time on social media via your phone settings like the app like Moment. All it takes is an 11-minute workout with your body weight, push-ups, set-ups, etc. to improve your fitness. A study in the International Journal of Exercise Science reports that people who did a short routine 3 times a week for 6 weeks increased their strength and endurance. Try this for 1 minute each: jumping jacks, push-ups, high knees squats, with 1 minute of walking in place between each. How to live with uncertainty. We've all been dealing with more changes and ambiguity than usual, and there's no question it's difficult, but you can take concrete steps to deal with uncertainty and maintain a sense of well-being. This is the Better Mental Health Matters. For most of us, the past year has been a dramatic, sustained period of uncertainty with the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving us wondering, when will things go back to normal or some semblance of it. Living with so much uncertainty is hard, says socialist Christine Carter, PhD, a senior fellow of the Greater Good Science Center of the University of California, Berkeley. When there's ambiguity about the future, our brain perceives it as a threat, and it's hard to concentrate. A constant state of uncertainty can leave you stressed, anxious, or depressed, any of which can trigger physical symptoms like headaches, digestive distress, irritability, or sleep disturbances, says Vale Wright, PhD, Senior Director for Healthcare Innovation of American Psychological Association. However, you can boost your tolerance of ambiguity. It helps to remind yourself that we've always lived with uncertainty and we have to deal with tools to deal with it, says Tim Fleshock, PhD, a professor of psychology at the University of Kansas and co-author of Taming Uncertainty. Holding on to those ideas can be especially difficult when the environment constantly shifts, or as it has during the pandemic. So you may need to reboot or upgrade your coping skills, and here's how. 1. Practice acceptance. Try to consciously accept that the situation is the way it is for now, at least, and fully acknowledge how it's affecting you. Give yourself permission to say, I'm not doing well right now, or I'm doing as good as I can be right now, and this will validate your feelings, and then you can deal with them how you feel instead of working against that and trying to convince yourself that you feel differently, says Michelle Ford, PhD, a professor of psychology at Dickinson College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. When you accept those feelings with comparison, you'll improve your ability to tolerate. 2. Cater to your basic... to tolerate the discomfort and move through it. Although you may lower your expectations of yourself so they're more realistic for the time being, perhaps you need more downtime instead of focusing on what you're not doing or achieving. Consider the best ways to direct your energy right now. Ideally, that's into gratifying or distracting activities. 2. Cater to your basic needs. In time of stress, we can forget about the basics that nourish our body. Getting enough sleep, eating healthfully, exercising regularly, and staying connected with family and friends following the COVID guidelines. Of course, take a back to basics approach. Start with sleep. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day and follow a wind down routine with digital devices powered off an hour before bed. Stock the fridge and pantry with healthy food, fruit, cut up veggies and nuts so you won't be impulsively to reach the empty calories. Block off 30 minutes for workouts for your calendar as important appointments, which they are for your health. That provides some predictability for your life. 3. Imagine the in-between outcome. When life feels particularly unstable, many people get caught in a pattern of catastrophizing or imagining the worst case scenarios, says psychiatrist Catherine Panel Dio, medical director of Right Track Medical Group in Oxford, Mississippi. To avoid that mindset, Panel suggests this exercise. Imagine the worst and the best things that could happen, then consider what's likely to happen, which is somewhere in between. It's a way to redirect your thoughts to a more realistic, comfortable place. Panel says to divert your brain from catastrophizing. Think through the situation. If you're worried about losing your job, for example, the worst case scenario might be running through all your savings. The best case scenario would be not losing your job or finding another way. The middle is to talk to your boss about how you're to fortify your position at work and then take your steps to do so. If you get laid off, or cut back on spending, or if you need to be, draw from your savings or a home equity loan while job hunting. 4. Recall other challenges that you've overcome. Those memories that are reassurances that you're more resilient and probably give yourself credit for. If you drill down to remember specific approaches that helped you get through a difficult situation in the past, you may recall strategies worth using again, Carter says. For example, you navigated a previous stressful situation by talking to a therapist or a trusted friend, or figuring out ways to lighten your workload. 5. Take breaks to recharge. Give some thought to what helps you rejuvenate, refresh, and decompress. Then schedule breaks throughout the day to do those activities. It could be taking a walk, doing a gentle stretching, cuddling a pet, listening to music. If you're worried you shouldn't or can't spare the time, reframe how you think of timeouts. They are preemptive ways to comfort yourself to avoid feeling unsettled. 6. Embrace a sense of purpose. Contributing to your community, even in small ways, builds a sense of purpose. There are many options to volunteer remotely or stay safely within precautions in place. You can connect virtually to your neighborhood community through the app Nextdoor or the Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. Also check your community center or place of worship for opportunities. Volunteer Match at volunteermatch.org will also direct you and to specific areas of need near you. Besides giving you a sense of empowerment in this time of uncertainty, doing concrete things that contribute to the greater good can change your outlook and help you feel better, Ford says. Another helpful exercise. Think about how you're valuable to the pets and people in your life, your family, your friends, your neighbors, colleagues. This can be a reminder that the emotional support you provide is important and that you are connected to the world around you. Remember that even after the pandemic fades, that our lives will contain uncertainty. There will be a fact of life, so developing tools and strategy is important to help you live with them today, tomorrow, and for the long haul. That was a good article. What dermatologists wish you knew. Despite all the skin cancer awareness information out there, we're still making skin cancer protection mistakes. Less than half adults regularly use sunscreen on their face. Dermatologists highlight the top problems and easy fixes. You're probably not getting the SPF you think. SPF stands for Sun Protection Factor, and that is a number that gives you a rough idea of how long the sunscreen guards against the sun's damaging rays. If you're usually burned after 10 minutes, for instance, SPF 30 is meant to give you 30 times more or 5 hours of sun time before you burn. But here's the rub. Studies are often done with much more or significant coating of sunscreen than what we usually put on, says Joshua Abrazine, MD, dermatologist and melanoma specialist at the Cleveland Clinic. Don't forget your scalp. You get more sun here than you realize, especially when you're in the water, and it's an area prone to skin cancer. Look for sunscreens made for the scalp. They're non-greasy. In fact, one study found that most people apply less than half the recommended amount of sunscreen. If you skimp on the SPF 30, for example, you may end up with an SPF of only 15. So dermatologists often recommend a higher SPF to compensate for the fact that we don't apply enough. Abrazine says that you should be using about an ounce, a shot glass worth of sunscreen for your entire body each time, because not many of us travel to the beach with a shot glass. Think of it this way: a family of 4 should use an entire 8-ounce bottle of sunscreen during the afternoon outside. Use at least SPF 30 and generously lather it into 30 minutes before heading outside to allow it to bind to your skin. Reapply at least every 2 hours, more if you sweat or spend time in the water. Healthy base is a tan. Quote, healthy base tan is an oxymoron. It says the proverbial base tan won't protect you. It's a actual sign that your skin is damaged. The dark pigment melanonin, which the skin sends out in response to UV exposure. Browning yourself in a tanning bed is no better. Tanning indoors can increase your risk to squamous skin cells cancer by 83%, the basal skin cells cancer by 29%. Okay, it says be careful how you use sticks and sprays. Sticks can be great for small areas. Sprays make it easier to cover hard to reach parts like your back, but you have to apply them and properly, which a lot of people don't do. Orit Markowitz, MD, former skin cancer director at Mount Sinai Hospital and founder of OptiSkin, a dermatologist treatment and research center in New York City. When using a skin, go back and forth times to ensure that you have applied enough. For sprays, look for a thick mineral formula and hold the nozzle close to your skin and spray until your skin is covered, then rub it in. Use the ABCDE rule for the self-check. Examining your own skin regularly, aim for monthly, will help catch skin cancer early. Look for these signs of suspicious moles, which should be examined by a dermatologist. Asymmetrical. Does one part of the mole look different from the other? The border. Are the edges irregular or jagged? Color. Is it uneven? Are parts of the lighter darker? And diameter. Is it the spot larger than the size of a pencil eraser? Evolving. Has the mole or spot changed? E is perhaps the most important. Any spot that changes size, shape, or color, or even elevation, or that develops symptoms, bleeding, oozing, itching, crusting, should be looked at by a dermatologist ASAP. Also remember that you get skin cancer in places where the sun doesn't shine, including your palms and the bottoms of your feet, breasts, buttocks, so check thoroughly. Wear sunscreen even on cloudy days. Up to 80% of UV rays penetrate the clouds. Sunscreen does expire. The FDA requires that all sunscreens be formulated to maintain their original strength for at least 3 years. If the bottle doesn't have an expiration date, write the purchase date on it. Keep it in mind, sunscreens do degrade faster in the heat, so tuck the sunscreen under your chair or into a cooler when you're outside, and don't store it in your car. You can develop skin cancer no matter what your skin tone. Although skin cancer is more common in fair-skinned people, anyone can develop skin cancer, even people who aren't prone to the sunburn or who tan easily, so do your self-checks and get examined by a dermatologist annually. On a side note, before we continue, I did have a lesion on my right thigh that started out as a scab and morphed into a mole. And when I was about, 17, 18, somewhere in there, I went to the doctor, which at the time was Dr. Spaniel. I liked him. And he operated right there in his office with a shot of Valium in my knee. And he goes, "Are you going to sit up and watch me do this?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." So I sat up and I watched as much as I could until the sight of blood started getting to me. And then I started covering my face and my eyes and be like, "Are you done yet? Are you done yet?" And it was a good thing we got it removed. So, and he stitched me up. So there we go. Better pets. Keeping pets safe at home. Pets can get their paws into trouble around the house, watch for these hazards. It says, think your pet has eaten something toxic? Call the ASPCA Poison Control, which is 1-888-426-4435, or your vet. Toxins. Food and medicines that make us feel better can make our pets sick. Over-the-counter medication, anti-inflammatory supplements were the top toxins pet ate in 2020, reports the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA. Some cats are curious jumpers. Dogs can sniff out pills in purses or backpacks on the floor. The safest spot for medication is in a closed cabinet. Take medication in closed rooms away from your pet, so if you drop a pill, you'll have time to find it before your pet does, says Tina Weismer, DVM at the ASPCA Animal Poison Control Center in Urbana, Illinois. Among the top 10 toxins pets ingest are some of our favorite foods and drinks, including chocolate, coffee, caffeinated products, alcoholic beverage, citrus fruits, grapes, raisins, onions, garlic, the chives, and note that sweeter xylitol found in sugar-free gum, candy, toothpaste, and peanut butter is also poisonous to pets. Don't forget to keep pets out of the room and yards where you're using cleaning products or doing home improvements. Pets walk right through those chemicals and they lick them off their paws. Choking and other hazards. Cords from blinds or curtains are a biggie. Consider going cordless or using a device to secure cords to the wall to the floor. Cut any loops. Plastic paper bags are a suffocation hazard, especially ones with handles that can catch on heads. Open the windows and doors. If your pet is a door dasher, consider making the airlocked area installed an exercise pen or a baby gate that you have to step through before opening the outside doors. Dogs jump, cats lounge on window sills to screens should be securely mounted, and avoid window panels and guards made for kids. Pets slip through the bars, and don't forget the dryer door, says Brianna Armstrong, DVM of the Firehouse Animal Health Center in Austin. A warm dryer is an invasion for a cat nap, so close it as soon as you can. Take out the laundry, and that's true. Sam loves to go to the laundry every time. But he sometimes likes to use, when I use the door and open the door of the dryer, he'll jump from the dryer door to the top of the washer, and he'll just sit there and watch me pull it out from the dryer, and then I immediately shut the dryer door. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and that was Better Homes and Gardens for May 2021. If you're counting videos, we got one more to do, and I'm going to do a book review because I read both of these in the 2 books in 1, Diana Palmer, A Rancher's Claim. So don't go anywhere. That's next.